Today, we're going to talk about picking a name for your candle brand. We're also going to talk about registering that trademark, getting your domains, and getting all of your social media handles all set up. If you're just now joining us, this is week 2 of a 12-part series where we are creating and launching a brand new candle business. Now, if you've watched my videos before or been tuning into the podcast, we are Garzanet Beacon Candle Company. That is the brand that we started 3.5 years ago. We are now at $1.3 million in retail sales. With that, we have 140 wholesale accounts, and we just keep on growing. But we wanted to do it all over again with a brand new brand with a completely different vision, and we want to take you on the journey with us. Now, if you're part of our Inner Circle community, you actually get step-by-step guidance through doing all of this. We have a video lesson for each separate part on this journey, but you're going to get tons of information from watching or listening right here to this. Now, this is week 2 of a 12-part series. If you've not watched week 1, I would recommend going back and taking a look at that. We define your niche. We look at your target audience. We created customer profiles. And we also wrote mission statements and define your values. Those are all critically important to setting the right foundation for your candle business. So this week, we are going to start off by talking about picking a brand name. But first, I do want to give a big shout out to Tuato. Tuato wax melters have been with us for quite some time now. We absolutely love them. We use them in all 3 of our stores, and they are so generous to us and also our community. So I would highly, highly recommend taking a look at them. Not only are they the best melters because they're quick, they're reliable, but they're also affordable. So you can start out with one that works for your business now. And as your business grows, you can get more or you can get a larger one. I, in fact, have members inside of our Inner Circle community that have multiple because they are pouring with different waxes. So they have a melter for their soy wax, and then they have a melter for their coconut soy wax. And if they have additional waxes, they could have additional melters as well. Because they are affordable, all of their melters really are going to be less expensive than you are going to find from really anywhere else. So in the show notes below, there's an exclusive link. I do not get a affiliate commission from this because they are a partner on this series, but you would be saving yourself money at checkout. When you use the link in the notes below, you will get an additional discount. So check them out for all your wax melter needs. Okay, so today let's start talking about picking your brand name. So this is one where we almost think it might be easy. But then there's also some of us that really take a lot of time and think about this. Now, when we first launched Garzanet Beacon Candle Company, Garzanet is Chad and I's last name, so that fit there. Beacon is because we wanted to do good in the community, and Candle Co. is just because that's what we saw a lot of candle businesses having. With our brand new brand, which is going to be called Without Permission, it is going to not be a strictly candle brand. We see this going other places. We see this having perfumes, possibly, even some clothing, because we want this to really evolve into like more of a lifestyle brand, that we are making these candles for someone so specific that they're going to want other offerings that we may have in the future. So I recommend to take some time to think about the direction that you're going to want to go in the future with your business. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I wouldn't open another candle business with Candle Co. in the name. I believe that it's very saturated. When we first got into candle making, we didn't realize how saturated the space is to where you need to be unique. You need to stick out. And when you are in a list of other candle brands that have Candle Co. at the end of it, you kind of get lost in there. And I think that with building out this entirely new brand and you going on this journey with us, that you're going to see that we're going to be doing things differently than we did with our Garzanet Beacon Candle Co. And don't get me wrong, we've done very well with that brand. It fits that audience. We are very community focused with that. We're locally known. And then we also have all of these wholesale accounts. So we do well with it. And it does have ways of sticking out from the crowded market. But with this new Without Permission brand, we are really going to stick out. We want to be different, and we don't want to be called or considered strictly a candle business. So some other things that I would be mindful of when it comes to picking a name for your candle business. A lot of time we'll see people will want to choose something that's personal to them. It will have their name in there. It'll be Sebastian's Candle Company, or it'll be like S and C Candle Company, and have initials in there. That's really personal to yourself. But what is that relaying to your potential customers with our without permission brand that we're launching here? It's thought invoking, right? It is getting you to think about what does that mean? It's going to get people to go deeper than the surface level. And I would highly recommend doing that with any type of brand if I was to work with you on building out your own business. So I think that you have to think about your customer first. You can certainly tie in your personal story into your branding, but does it need to be in your brand name? Think about that. Right now, you can see different candle brands that are really popular, and you'll see brands like PF Candle Co. that does have a initials in their name, and they also have Candle Co. in their name. But they're one of the only ones. If you were to research what the top 10 brands are right now that are kind of getting traction and getting a lot of eyes on them, a lot of branding is going more niche focused, which we talked about in last week's episode. So I would really consider not using a Candle Co. in your branding, and also not something personal like a first name or initials. I would want to use a brand that is going to invoke thought into what is behind the brand. So think about that. I would also avoid using words like scent or candle or fragrance. Those type of words inside of your candle brand's name, like Sebastian's sweet candles or comfy, cozy candles. Things like that they're okay on the surface level, but it's not going to get you traction based on the brand name. And we want to use every aspect of our brand to potentially help it grow and to market it with. And like Sebastian's scented candles or fragrant candles or home decor and candles, like that's not going to put us where we want to be. So once you pick out a name, don't get too excited quite yet. We still have to make sure that no one else has claimed trademark on this name so that you can use it freely and trademark it yourself. So the way we're going to do that, we're going to go out to the United States Patent and Trademark Office's website. That website is uspto.gov. And here on this website, you can do a complete search and see if or how others are using that name. Now, just because someone else might be using that name, they might not be using it in the same manner that you're going to. For instance, if say Garsnet Beacon was a popular term, Garsnet Beacon say could be used for different products out there, but not for candles, then I would be able to apply to use it for candles. So when you are doing a search, you want to search not only wide, but you're also going to want to search to see in the candle space itself. Class 4 is the class for the candles on the USPTO's website that you'll be searching, but make sure that you are searching in other fragrance areas. So by conducting that wide and that narrow search, you should be able to get a good idea if the name that you are wanting to use is being used in other areas where there might be a conflict there. But the USPTO website is super thorough. There's tons of education on there. So you shouldn't have to hire an attorney to assist you with this or hire or pay rather LegalZoom or any of those other websites that say or they claim that they'll do it for you for a fee. The cost of doing a registration yourself, depending on the class that you're registering in, I would expect to pay between $250, $350 to get this registered in the candle space. Now, do you have to do this right away? No, you do not have to trademark your brand right away, but it's going to protect you. In fact, we didn't register Garsnet Beacon for a couple of years. It wasn't until we were selling on different channels that we decided it might be better for us to go ahead and get this trademark just for our protection. But it took us a couple of years before we decided to do that because there's a cost involved. But once you decide to do it, the step-by-step directions they give you on the website is very thorough, very easy to do. Now, when you do submit your application, it's going to take about a year. It took us 13 months for it to get approved. Now, it's based on the application date. So if someone else was rushing in to try to beat you to something, um, generally it's not going to happen that way. But just so you know, like once it's registered, or the application has been submitted, you're going to be covered. You can always use the TM on a brand. If you notice at the end of a name, there'll be a little TM next to it. That just means that there's the intention or that they have applied for the trademark. It does not mean that it's been approved. Once a trademark's been approved, that is when there's going to be the R on there, which means that it's registered with the trademark office. So that's the difference. When you see a TM on a product, um, you legally can just put TM on anything. It doesn't give it any protection there. That is essentially when a brand wants to say that they have applied to have this trademark. They're trying to give more authenticity to it, but it doesn't have that R on there, which means it is actually an approved trademark, and recognized as being registered by the trademark office. Something just to keep in mind as you do that. But once you apply, or really you could do it at any time and start using that TM, but it's just not going to hold any value quite yet. So it's going to take about a year. They'll contact you if there's anything they need clarification on. They did call us one time just to get clarification on something, and then they issued our certificate. One thing to keep in mind, once you apply, you are going to get tons of emails. You're going to get flooded with I don't want to say spam, but salesy emails. And what it is it's a lot of like patent attorney offices that they hire these marketers or solicitors to reach out and try to help guide you. They're looking for business. And the way that they get your information is because you just applied. As soon as you apply, now all that information is public on the USPTO's website. And then you're going to start getting a ton of emails. So disregard most of those. Take a look at it. Just make sure that if they're trying to sell you something, if they're trying to collect a fee, then just know that you can just delete those. What some of the emails that you're going to get also is going to be where they are offering to like print off a nice framed version of that certificate once it becomes available and charge you lots of money for it. So disregard all of that. They called us when they had an issue. They did not email us. They called us. We walked through it. And then I was able to go on to the website and submit the additional thing that they needed and got everything cleared up, and we moved forward. So once we're done looking on the website to make sure that it is something that we can trademark, we also want to buy a domain. We need a place to park our website for where our store is going to live online. You are going to want to do something that I don't want to say it's controversial, but you're going to want to always use a .com URL. So if you go out and are trying to obtain the domain of, let's just say, scentedcandles.com, and that's not available, then it's going to show you other options that might be available, like .net or .store, different options that you could buy. Here's the problem. 98%. So in my research, I was looking at what Google said. Google says that 98% of blind searches on their website, that means that someone assumes they know what the website is. So they go to Google and they just type it in. So they just typed in, let's say, garsnetbeacon.com, and they assume that's my Garsnet Beacon brand. And they would be right. But they will type it in, not knowing if it ends in .com or .net. 98% of people will always just try .com. So if you don't own .com, you are potentially losing out on traffic. So while you can buy a domain that ends in .net, .store, a lot of .ai now, you can get so many different URL endings. I highly, highly, highly recommend you only go for a .com domain. Now, you can get the rest of those domains. So not just garsnetbeacon.com, but garsnetbeacon.net, .store, and have all those other ones redirect to the .com. But I would not buy and register and build out a website on a .net or any other URL if I don't own the .com as well, because it's just the most used URL. I would rather change my domain name than use an alternative URL ending. So what I mean by that is if Garsnet Beacon was for some reason taken, so I could not use garsnetbeacon.com, then I would think about something else. Would I want to do garsnetbeaconcandle.com or gbproducts.com, GB candles, right? If Garsnet Beacon isn't available, I'm not, I would change my name for the website versus getting the .net. Here's another example, and it's what I'm dealing with this new brand. My new brand is called Without Permission. That's the name of my new brand that I'm putting out there. But withoutpermission.com is taken. It is a blog site that someone hasn't really done anything with in like 20 years, but someone else owns it. So I can't do it. Now, I can get withoutpermission.net, but I don't want that because it's not the .com. So instead of without permission dot whatever, my website's going to be different. And so that's just a heads up on the way I would think about that is I would not have a URL ending that doesn't end in .com. So enough about that. So you need to get that domain. The way you can search to see what's available, you can go to Squarespace. That's where I host all of my different websites and brands is out of Squarespace, but you can do GoDaddy, you can do Wix. It doesn't matter. They all have access to the same domain. So go to any of those. It's free just to search and look, and then it'll give you some alternatives if the one that you want isn't available. So Squarespace has always been great for me. That's what I use. Once you have your domain, the next step is you want to set up a professional email address. And what I mean by that is you want an email address that ends with at businessname.com. So at the domain that you buy.com. So if you buy scentedcandles.com, you want an email that is you at scentedcandles.com, right? You don't want to continue to use a at gmail.com. It's just not as professional. And when we're starting to do business with other businesses, it's just another signal that you're taking this serious, that you are a business, that you can be trusted, right? So I get emails every day from people that want to do marketing for my website, that want to do SEO on my website, that want to sell me boxes, that want to sell me vessels. I get all kinds of emails, and I'm sure you do too, from people that want to do business, right? Right away, when I look at the email address, and if it's at gmail.com, at hotmail.com, at AOL, at whatever else it is, I generally will always just delete those because if you're telling me that you're representing a company and that you want to do work for my brand, but I can't tell what business you're from because it just says at gmail.com instead of saying at, candlesupplier.com or boxsupplier.com, then I'm going to be very cautious there. So it's just a trust factor by having a professional email address. Now, how do you do that? Once you have your domain, so for instance, I had garsnetbeacon.com, and then I wanted to set up my professional email. You can still set that up through Gmail. That's what I would recommend. A Google Workspace is what I would recommend getting. A Google Workspace is going to give you the exact same software online, the exact same apps to use as you would with your Gmail account. So nothing would change from your personal email address. This is just going to be like your work address. And it's going to end in whatever your domain is. So whatever domain you buy, that garsnetbeacon.com or scentedcandles.com, whatever it might be that you're going to buy out at Squarespace or Wix or GoDaddy, you then connect that with Google through Google Workspace. It's $6 a month. We have upgraded from the basic to the standard because we needed more storage because we use it for everything. We use our Google Workspace we have our standard operating procedures in there. We have our employee handbooks in there. We have all of the benefits for our employees in there. We have all our production sheets and all of our batches for our candles because now that we have 3 stores, people are working in different areas. So we are saving everything we're doing inside of the Google Drive. So we're using Google Docs, we're using Google Sheets, we're using Google Calendars for everything. And it's only $6 per email address. And then we have one that's on the $10 a month plan just for more storage that we can actually share amongst all of them. So It's very easy to connect it to. Google will set it all up for you. They will make sure that everything on the back end, nowadays there's so many different rules and regulations that you have to get like a DMARC, a DKIM, an SPF, all these different things. It's all a foreign language to me, but Google will walk you through the steps of getting that all taken care of. So I highly recommend using them for your professional email address. Okay. The last thing we want to do after we have done, we've got a brand name. We have gone out to perform a trademark search, and then we've filed for our trademark if you decide to do that at this time. Then we went out and got our domain. Whether you did that from Squarespace or another website, doesn't matter where you want to get that from. And then we have now got our professional email address. The next thing we want to do is secure all of the social media handles because you want them to be the same. If on Facebook, you're facebook.com/Garznebeacon, I'll use my brand as an example again. That's what it is. Facebook.com/Garznebeacon. That's the exact same handle that we use on Instagram. Instagram.com/Garznebeacon. Same thing we would use that on TikTok or on Twitter or X or Blue Sky or Threads or Pinterest. Any platform out there, you're going to want to go out there and just register it. Even if you don't use it, we don't use the majority of those social media platforms. We only hang out with where our customers hang out with, the majority of them. Time's limited, and spreading our time and trying to post on 7 or 8 different social media platforms is not a reality for us. We can't do that. So we are only focusing on a couple of them. But if it shifts and say our customers start to go and be on one of these other platforms, I want to make sure we already have that handle on those platforms as well, that someone else isn't taking it. It's also going to help to prevent from people trying to spoof your brand and create something with your name, which we see oftentimes with scams happening, right? If you were to go to TikTok and you look up Garznebeacon and someone's on there selling candles, why would you not think that that wasn't me or my brand? So I want to make sure I go and just grab those domains, register them, even if you're not even going to post on them. But just so that if you decide to do it at some point in the future, you certainly can. So that is going to be it for this week. This is what we have done so far. So we got our brand name, we got our trademark search, and we're going to register that. If you're in the inner circle, again, you can follow along with me. I have a lesson on step-by-step, everything we had to upload. We went through the whole process of searching, everything we've done. You can go in there and check it out inside of that candle launch roadmap that we have built for our members that is taking them through a video lesson of every single step we're doing. Then we went and got our domain, and then we set up our professional email address. And then lastly, we got our social media handles. Hopefully you have found some value in today's episode. If you could do us a favor, like, subscribe, that helps us out tremendously to get our videos out into the world, more places, and to get our podcast into the ears of more listeners. Comment below if you would like on some questions or some roadblocks that you might be facing within these topics that we covered today. And I will comment back. I will respond back and see if I can't help you out. Come visit us at candlebusinesspro.com, and you can see we have lots of free resources out there. You can download our supply list. You can access our calendars that we use. You can get access to more content through our blog out there. So lots of information out there for you. Again, I do want to say thank you so much to Tuata for partnering with us on this series. This is week 2 of what will be at least 12 episodes of building out this brand. And then we're going to continuously have updates about how this brand is doing. So come hang out with us in our Facebook group if you would like. It's completely free to hop in there. We're sharing the graphics. In fact, we have, if you're curious about what the Without Permission brand is looking like today so far, come hang out in there. We are sharing all the behind the scenes images, videos, marketing, and branding that we're going to be doing. So it's pretty exciting over there. So as always, thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.